Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, and in this series we are going to learn all about Office script and name range. Okay, so this is my fourth video and I would suggest you to watch previous videos. I'll put the links in the description. Okay, so in this video we are going to learn how to categorize each of this lambda, each of this name range. So let's get started. Okay, so this is our final loop, right? Like, final part of code which is pushing the data in the array, right? So I'm just going to add another part, that category. Okay, so that is going to be a category. So we need the category at the end of this, right? So I'll just say, okay, let category is an empty string. Okay, so now we need to categorize it. So how can we do this is depend on different conditions. Okay, so the first one is that if this name get formula starts with lambda, right? So it starts with, and then I can specify that, okay, if it's start with lambda and open parent, that means this category of this is going to be a lambda category. Okay, so the next part is that, okay, if it's not a lambda, then if this get range is not undefined. Okay, so when it says that, okay, get range, and I'm just putting this get range and nothing else, then I'm saying, okay, if it's defined, okay, if it has a range, then we are just saying that, okay, the category will be, now it depends on two things. Okay, so one is range and another it could be dynamic range or spill range, right? So how can we do that is we can add another condition that, okay, if this current name dot get range get formula dot ends with, if it ends with hash sign, right, that means it's a spill range, right? So then category will be spill range. But if it's not, then else category will be, okay. So that's how we can categorize a spill range and range. Now if it's not lambda, if it's not a range, then we can just consider that as a hard-coded value. So then category will be just hard-coded value. Okay, now I can just this category at the end of this push list, and that's it. Now let me run this. So we get 6th item. This is the header part. We get category, and now you can see it says lambda because this is a lambda actually, and you can see this is says hard-coded value because that's interesting. So company workbook true, and it says C2. Okay, that's interesting. 2D3 pound as. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, it says hard-coded value where I was expecting a spill range. Okay, so I'll look into this. So now if you look at this, then we can say it's hard-coded value, that's correct, and it's a range, that's correct, it's a range, no, hard-coded value, that's wrong. So let's see. So for the spill range, it's showing a wrong answer, right? So let's see. So let's test out. So let item cell is named item workbook dot get named item, and that is funny name, that one. If item dot get range, then we have a range address. So let's just run this and let's see. So we haven't received that. That's interesting. That's weird, right? Okay, so let's see in the name manager. So company name, so workbook references, and this values is array. That's interesting. It's actually showing correctly in this section, but it's not showing properly in this section. That's weird. Okay, let's see console.log item dot get range dot get address. It should throw an error. Let's see. Okay, cannot read properties of undefined. Okay, so this is, I think, another bug or limitation of this Office script. So we can handle that actually in this section, that it's a range. Okay, so I'll just add a validation here. So what this will do, we'll just add another else if actually. So just copy this else if, and drop that. Okay, if it ends with pound sign and it should start with get formula starts with equal sign, it's actually not like, if it's just started with equal, it should be a spill range, but for now we can handle this. Let's see, this is lambda, that's good. This is a spill range, so that's one way. But I think to make it a little bit more flexible, what we can do, we can get the formula and then we can try to retrieve the range address using that formula. And if we get a proper range address, that means it's referencing to a range address. So let's see, how can we do this? Work get word seed. We'll need a little bit of validation. So let's say seed2 dot get range, and then we can pass address. So let's see, F3 pound. f3 pound dot get address console dot log. So let's see if I just run this, and it says sit f3 to f16, right? Sit to pound f3 to f16. So we can make this validation a little bit more flexible, like, you know, actually we should get the formula and instead of the formula because it's being used multiple times, and then we can use the formulas, and we should split that formula part and get the seat name before this pound sign, okay, and then we get the worksheet, and then we get the range address, and then we can check if it's a proper valid range or not, and that's how we can add that validation as well. So let me just do that. I'll not show you the full way, I'll just explain that. Okay, so here is the final code. I had to add workbook parameter here because I need to check the range at the end, right? So we have extracted the formula, then we have this category again. So if it's lambda, then we are just saying lambda. If we have a range, then we are just saying range. But if it's ends with pound sign, then we are just trying to retrieve the seat name. Now in the seat name retrieval, we have two types of things. One is that worksheet name could contains space, okay, and that's why we are just saying, okay, if it's start with equal sign and then single quotes, because if we have space, then it will start with equal sign and single quote. If it has a space, actually that's what we are trying to say, then it just say, okay, seat name formula dot split, and then we are just splitting this formula by this exclamation mark, and then we are just getting after this single quotes and before that end single quotes. Otherwise just get whatever we get before this exclamation mark, and then we get the range address by splitting this formula, and then we're just retrieving the range references. That's why we need this workbook.get worksheet to get the worksheet, and then get range, that's the range address, and then we're just checking if it's valid range address, then spill range, otherwise range, okay? And that's how we are making this more dynamic and more flexible, okay? Now I think we can test this out for the hard-coded value. So let me just go into this name manager, my name, and then I'll just put a pound sign, and let's see, we run this again, and I need to find, okay, so my name, and still it says hard-coded value, okay? So that's it for this video, and you can see this function is much more flexible right now to handle all of those scenarios. That's it for this video. Let me know if you have any question. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for upcoming content. Have a good day.